This shouldn't even be funny, but I get asked this all the time. What am I supposed to do if my husband hates me? Let's take that on in a serious way today. Kind of an interesting title today, right? What to do when your husband hates you. Now, let's take a look at this, okay? I believe, and I've addressed this on some of the other videos on this channel actually, that we have a choice. We always have a choice when we interact with someone else between love and hate. And I pick the word hate because people hate the word hate. But honestly, if it's not a love choice, what is it? It's going to be on this side one way or another. And I don't think that there's a neutral option. I think we have to fall on one side or the other. The first thing I want to say about this, what to do when your husband hates you, or your wife, or your boyfriend, or your girlfriend, or your mom, or your dad, or your kid, whoever it is, when someone hates you, you choose love. Okay, now does that seem a little weird? Let's just work with that for a minute because it's got to be on one side or the other. And the thing about choosing love is that it's a little harder to do when someone else is choosing hate. But there's a lot of good reasons why we need to do this. Can I just share a little example with you of something that occurred with a family I was working with? A young man and a young woman were in a relationship together. And he did something that offended her. Okay? So she ran off and talked to her family about the thing that this young man did that was kind of a hate choice. Coming from, I don't know, just the weakness, the typical human weakness that we all have. In fact, you know what? Bishop Desmond Tutu said it this way. He said, "We are all broken. And from that brokenness, we hurt each other." So this young man did something hateful, not because he's evil, but because he's human, that hurt this young woman. Well, she responded with a loving response or a hateful response. Well, she went and talked to her family in a kind of a hateful way. Well, that caused the family to get fired up, and they start lobbing hateful comments and remarks toward this young man. Well, that woke up Mama Bear on this side of the equation, right? And so the young man's family starts lobbing hateful comments and remarks over. And do you see what happens? How do you think wars get started? Honestly, it starts with something as simple as an offense between two people. It's how it works. So with all of this hateful stuff going on, where's that going to end? Now, what if your spouse or your ex or someone in your life does something hateful toward you? You're in a choice now. You got to choose love or hate. What do they deserve? Well, that's not the best question. The best question is, what kind of a person are you going to be? And do not let someone else's hateful choice drag you into the same kind of a choice. Because if a hateful choice leads to another hateful choice and it just builds from there and we're lobbing shells the whole time, starts wars, okay? Causes all kinds of death and destruction. Am I exaggerating that? I don't think so. That's where it starts. So we get to choose love. And it's especially hard when someone's being hateful. But that's the choice that you're faced with. Okay, now with that being said, I don't think he really hates you. Now, I don't know you, I don't know your situation. But here's what I found. Usually, when a hateful exchange starts to occur between two people who love each other, who chose each other to be in a relationship, it's usually not that he hates you, even if he says he does. Probably not. Usually, hateful choices come from either typical human weakness or a position of feeling threatened. I remember when I was a little kid. I was in kindergarten, I think, 5 years old. And there was this cat that got into our yard. And I am the big, strong kindergartner. I'm going to go out and defend this house, right? From the stray cat that's just come into our yard. So I get this cat kind of cornered over in the tomatoes. And he's between two tomato cages right up against the wall of our house. And I've got him cornered and I'm threatening him. You get out of here, you big old mean cat. That cat jumped on me and bit my leg in a way that left a scar that still exists today, right here on my thigh. Now, why did that cat bite me? Because it's a mean, evil animal? No, because it was cornered and threatened. You see where I'm going with this? Probably it was a wonderful pet that someone owned, their little kitty, right? And it's attacking me because it feels threatened. This is going to sting perhaps just a little bit, because if someone is acting hateful toward you, it may not mean that they're evil or bad. It may mean that they feel threatened and scared. That could be very informative. So probably if someone's being hateful toward you, it may not even be about you. It may be about something completely different that's going on in their life, or they're feeling threatened. Well, are they feeling threatened by you? Perhaps. Take a look. That could be informative. So keep the mind open to some of those possibilities. Now, what can we do about it? Big advocate, by the way, of preserving marriages and saving key relationships. Love doing that. You'll see that there are a lot of videos here on the channel about how to deal with divorce and child custody and things that happen if a marriage does split up. But my heart is in saving and enriching key relationships. I want to help you to do that too. So what can you do if your spouse is being hateful toward you? Choose love and then try a little 5-day experiment. You don't have to let them know that you're doing this, okay? Just try it out. Be observant, keep some notes, notice what happens if you do this. Here's the 5-day experiment. There's 2 parts to it. The first part is what I call 25-5. 25-5. So 5 stands for 5 days. I want this to be a 5-day experiment. For those 5 days, you come up with a list of 25 things for which you are sincerely grateful. Look at some of the videos we've done here on this channel about gratitude. You'll see why it's so important. 25 things for which you are sincerely grateful. And don't make it up, okay? You have to actually be grateful for it to put it on the list. Now, here's what powers it up. At least half of your list every day. And by the way, don't repeat anything on tomorrow's list that was on today's list. Whole new list tomorrow. Okay? You can do this. Invite your mind to go there. Half of your list every day, that's 13 if you're doing the math, is about your husband or your wife, your spouse, or your marriage. Okay? At least half of your list every day is about your spouse or your marriage. And again, don't make it up. Make sure that you're really grateful for it. This is powerful. And I don't even have to give you all the rationale behind it. You understand already that there's some power in gratitude. It changes you. It changes your mind and your focus, and that's what you're bringing to the relationship. This is what gives you the very best chance to influence it. And then just notice what happens. Even if you're not expressing it to your spouse, find what you're grateful for, put it on your list, and then notice what happens with your spouse. It could be very fascinating. Do this for 5 days. Okay, here's phase 2. Well, it's not phase 2 as in do this afterwards. I mean, do it right along at the same 5 days. We're going to do another 5-day experiment. This one is called 5 for 5. 5 for 5. Again, 5 days, but this time we're going to send 5 messages every day That's 25 by the end of the 5 days. 5 messages every day that communicate one of these 3 things. I value this relationship. How do you send that message? Well, there's a dozen ways to do that. Find some way to communicate that you value this relationship. It might be coming home early from work. It might be leaving a little note before you leave the house. It might be slipping something into the lunch pail. A little surprise or a note that somebody gets to discover a little bit later. But you send the message that you value this relationship, that it's important to you. Message number 2, my life is better because you're in it. My life is better because you are in it. This is a powerfully affirming message. If someone is acting hatefully towards you, this changes the energy of that whole thing. And it's a powerful way to influence perceptions. The third message that you can do in your 5 for 5 exercise is I appreciate you. Now, be specific about that. Not just I appreciate you. I appreciate you for whatever. Okay, fill in the blanks. You find something specific for which you are sincerely grateful. And that's not going to be too hard because you're making a list, right? But you're going to send the message that you appreciate your spouse for something specific. Find 5 ways to send one of those 3 messages 5 days in a row. Do it the same 5 days. And that's going to power this thing up. What can you do? If your spouse is acting hateful towards you, I say acting hateful because I don't think they actually hate you. It's a whole other conversation. Choose love. Choose love. Okay? And then try this 5-day experiment. 25-5, the gratitude list. Half of that's about your spouse or your marriage. And 5 for 5. 5 messages, 5 days in a row. Give it a try. You know what? As awesome as you are, it's hard to imagine that anyone would hate you. But if somebody does, maybe that's going to help. I hope so.